All right, so this one was posted 4 months ago. Am I the asshole for kicking my sister-in-law out and banning her from my home until she apologizes? I thought this one is really good because it's not actually about the kid. But it's a parenting issue.
Okay.
OP's a parent. All right. I, 37 female, have 4 kids. 14 female, 10 male, 8 male, and 5 female, with my husband, who's 35. My eldest daughter, Eliza, is very shy and keeps to herself at big gatherings. She has never been a huge fan of gatherings, so she'll find a spot on the couch and stay there reading her book. People do go up to her and ask her about her book or school, etc., and she will reply. She'll answer their questions, and she's never rude to anyone. She's a good kid, and both sides of the family love her and understand why she likes her space. It has never been a problem until now. Yesterday, my husband invited his mom, dad, and sister, along with her husband and their twins, 13 female, and a few work buddies and their partners to join us for dinner. Eliza wasn't having a good day and asked if she could just stay in her room because today just wasn't a good day for her. Both my husband and myself agreed that she could stay in her room tonight, but if she needs to talk, to just come to us. She thanked us before going up to her room. When everyone arrived, my husband was still cooking dinner, so I sat around the table with everyone just catching up on what's been going on this week. My sister-in-law asked where Eliza was, and I told her that she was in her room because today hasn't been a good day for her. Sister-in-law felt bad and decided to go check on her. I told her that she shouldn't do that and just let Eliza be for now, and when she's ready, she'll come down on her own. Sister-in-law rolled her eyes and went upstairs anyway. I quickly followed behind her because I don't really want her bothering my child when she's upset. That's just not fair to Eliza. When I caught up, I saw her scolding my daughter and calling her rude for not being downstairs with the rest of us. Before she could continue, I told her she was crossing the line and to leave Eliza alone. I explained that Eliza wasn't having a good day and just to let her be. She isn't being rude by wanting to be alone, and if an adult can take some time to themselves, then my daughter can do the same. Well, sister-in-law snapped at me and said I was coddling her too much and how she's going to be a failure when she's an adult because we babied her too much instead of preparing her for the struggles of the real world. I lost my temper and screamed at her to get out of my house if she can't respect that my daughter wants to be alone. I continued by telling her that it was extremely disrespectful to Eliza, and until she apologizes, she is no longer allowed in my house. Sister-in-law called me a bitch in front of my daughter and called me a horrible mom for coddling my daughter instead of forcing her to suck it up and spend time with the family. She continued by saying that Eliza needs to grow up because this, quote, shy thing was becoming unbearable. Before I could scream again, my husband came up asking what happened. My sister-in-law gave her side and told my husband that I wasn't being a good mom by coddling Eliza so much. My husband came to my defense and said that I did nothing wrong and that our daughter is allowed to take some time for herself. I told him that I didn't want sister-in-law here until she apologizes to my daughter. He agreed with me, which made my sister-in-law absolutely mad, and she screamed at both of us before leaving with her husband and her kids. I comfort my daughter and told her that taking her space and wanting to be by herself wasn't wrong, and what her aunt said wasn't true. I reassured her that she was a good kid, and she hugged both my husband and I before going back to her room. My husband told me that I was a great mother and to ignore his sister because she has no idea what she's talking about when it comes to me. I've been getting a few calls and texts from other family members telling me I was wrong for reacting the way I did, and that I took it too far when I kicked sister-in-law out. So I'm wondering if I was wrong in banning her until she apologizes to my daughter.
No. They sound like amazing parents. I love that they are respecting the child's boundaries and her space. And I think the sister-in-law is kind of projecting because this is probably how she was treated when she was growing up.
Yep.
And she was always like, she had, even if she didn't want to, like she had to. So you're something with that generation, they like to pass on that generational trauma.
I feel like it's every generation. If you had it hard, then you don't want anybody else to have it easier than you had it.
Yeah, well, I think something like with our generation, I think we're really trying hard to break free of like everything that like our parents and grandparents like kind of instilled in us that isn't benefiting us, I think.
And is it making us weak?
I don't give a shit. What is weak? What is weak?
I don't
Like,
know. That's the question.
I think it's very healthy to have boundaries and especially respecting your child who is still a human, by the way. Like she said, if it's okay for not a human, an adult to not want to attend something, it's their choice or whatever. Why do you have to force a kid? It's
Yeah.
like, I don't know. I see TikToks of people who like no longer force their kids. Like if they don't want to hug their uncle who like might be creepy, you know what I mean? Like they're like, if you're uncomfortable to show or do something that you don't want to do, like you don't have to do it.
Yeah, I feel like it's that expression is kind of it's a gray area. It's a double-edged sword because, you know, if you don't ever push any kids to do something that makes them uncomfortable while they're young, they will grow to adapt to that and never, you know, get exposed to anything outside their comfort zone or learn to do anything new. So it's a tough area.
I don't know if this is like something that will teach her that though.
No, not this instance.
Okay.
I'm just talking about what you said.
To not wanna kiss their creepy uncle.
No, not to force the kids to do something that they say they don't want to do. Because if, you know, nobody ever wants to do anything new.
I think it depends. If it's like something with like school or something that they like have to do, like that's different. You can't just be like, no, you can't do it. You can't drop out of school because you don't want to. You know what I mean?
Exactly. So it's like I said, it's a gray area. Where do you draw that line? Okay, school's one thing now. We're outside of school. Other life things. Where do you draw that line? Because if you keep letting the child who is still growing, and as I like to say, writing the code of their brain, if you don't let them...
Writing the code of their brain?
Yep.
I've never heard you say that.
We talked about this the other day when we were on a walk. All of our experiences are writing lines of code in our brain. Okay, moving on. But they're developing all these experiences. So if you let the kid never do anything new because it just doesn't want to, you know, is that like, where do you draw the line? Where do you stop? Like, you know, what good or bad for them?
I don't know. I think it's like a case-by-case basis. In this case, I think they're being amazing parents. And I like the way that they are raising their daughter.
Yeah, same. But also at the same time, you have a kid who always stays up in his room, is always antisocial. And then they go into life, and every single time you were just like, you kid, go hide in your room, do nothing, socialize with nobody. And the time they get 21 or anything like that, they haven't even learned to like, how do they socialize in a workplace with new people and stuff. They can't just go run away and hide when it comes time to like be an adult and earn an income in order to pay for a roof to be over your head, pay for food to go into your mouth, and pay for the toilet paper to wipe your ass. In order to earn all of those necessities of life, you have to go out into the workplace. And if you do have a child who never wants to be around anybody, who never wants to do any of that stuff, what happens? And I'm not saying there's anything right or wrong here. I'm just asking that question because if you always a kid never wants to do anything new. People, even adults at the hardest point, don't want to do anything new. So even kids, even more so. But if you always let them do that and they don't necessarily gain those life skills of dealing with people and situations like that, how do they handle when they are older?
I don't know the answer to that question because guess what? We are not parents.
Even the parents don't technically know the answer to
I know.
that question,
No one,
right?
everyone's trial and error, right? Like there's no playbook to being a parent. Everyone's just kind of learning as you go.
Everyone's going to turn out different. Like,
yeah.
In this situation, like, it's not your kid.
Yeah.
If you want to force your 13-year-old kids to have to socialize around the family and they're not allowed to go up to the room and hide when they go to somewhere, that's your kids and that's what it is. You don't get to call other people out because they are not raising their kids the way that you think they should be.
100%. Yeah. And I'm glad that they clarified that she has kids because I was wondering, like, does she have kids of her own?
Twins.
Yeah.
Probably driving her nuts.
Yeah.
So, yeah. That's where I'm like, I don't know. top comment on this one is not the asshole. You protected and defended your child. You should be proud of yourself and your husband for putting Eliza and each other first.
Yes. And the husband, too. Kudos to him.
Yeah.
Sticking up to his sister.
Gotta take your wife's side, not your sister's side.
Yes.
No, it's certainly interesting. And these are the things that like I always question, because my sister's having a kid. I'm going to be an uncle. And like, I have these questions of like, you know, things that you do when the kids are a certain age to be like, you know, how they're going to grow up when they're older.
Yeah. That's tough.
Yeah. Like I want to strap them to a rocket, but is that safe?
A rocket.
Dirt bike, rocket. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
All right.
Let's move on.
Yeah. Okay.